California Supreme Court? Yeah. How many people listen to it? Whoa. I thought it went pretty well.
If they side for the state and the way he was talking, that's just the travesty of justice. I mean, that's just, he had no argument, not one bit. Our attorney was on point, straightforward. They even had to tell him to slow down.
Passionate.
So yeah, he was really passionate. Told him he had to slow down so that the justice could ask him the question.
Yeah.
So now that's what a lawyer should sound like.
Yeah, we got a good lawyer. We got a really good lawyer, and the few people who sat in on the third appellate court case, very similar to this one, and they said it went down exactly the same way, same kind of questions, same issues. You know, justice is very calm. Justices knew the issues, played the devil's advocate the same way that they did on this one, and then they came out with a unanimous decision for our side. You know, so you don't know how it's going to, these guys, they're the best poker players in the world. They don't, you know. But the way that the arguments went, I would be very surprised to see them overturn a unanimous decision of the third appellate court, you know, on that.
Did you hear what she asked the state attorney at the end?
She asked him the question, so do you think that financial viability and commercial viability has anything to do with the mining law? And he said no.
Well, no, she also asked him if he thought if she sided with the respondent that if he would lose. And that was the same type of answer. Well,
I guess so.
Yeah.
It went down pretty good. So we're, the way that I see it, we're probably 6 weeks. I'm guessing 6 weeks. And considering that, you know, they've had us shut down for, this is what, our 7th season, 8th? A long time, you know. 6 weeks isn't very long. We're almost at the very end, as far as this is going to go. There's only one step beyond this, and that's the U.S. Supreme Court, and I would expect we're going there. Win or lose, I would expect we're going. If we win, we probably won't go there. They'll try, but I don't think that they're going to be busy with all the Obama stuff, you know. If we lose, I can see the Supreme Court taking that up, because this decision is going to affect resource development across the country. It's a huge case, you know, and we're right on the front line of it, and it's all because of you guys and the rest of our supporters, and we should acknowledge ourselves for that. So if they come out on our side, it would be something like this. It would be something like, the case is very narrow. The case is really a narrow question in front of these justices. Does the state have the authority to pass a law that requires us to get a suction dredge permit if we want to dredge, and then pass another law that says, but we're not going to give any? That's the case. That's the issue in front of these guys. And I would expect. See, we hired another law firm to evaluate our position, to evaluate our attorney, everything that we've done. We hired a big law firm in Sacramento. You know, it's like, let's reconsider, or let's back up and just really look at this. And they came back and said, you guys are doing great, and you shouldn't do another thing until the California Supreme Court decides. And then talk to us again. They gave us a great report, everything that we've done. Anyway, what they said was that this issue is totally right, because there are some other cases where there's some holes in them. Supreme Court cases, there's a few holes, and that's what our adversaries are using against us. A few holes, little wiggle room that needs to get closed up. And these lawyers and our lawyer believe, if we win, that these guys are going to give enough, they call it dictum, enough direction to close those holes in our favor, if we win. They said it won't be totally clean, but That'll roll right back to all of our other court cases that are now on hold. Every other court case we've got is on hold waiting for that. It'll roll back very fast, and we've already won those cases. We've already won all those cases. They're just on hold. So with just a little bit of luck, it could all roll back our way and swing our way for a while. Wouldn't that be cool? And then we'd have a feather in our cap. You know? We'd have to have a big party. Yeah. We'd invite the whole town. Right. No, forget that.
How does this decision affect the new laws that are thrown out today? No motors and mechanical.
Exactly the same case. They're saying you can't get a dredge permit unless you have a water permit, but water permits are not available. It's exactly the same case. And that's been briefed. The California Supreme Court asked for briefing on that, and they've been briefed. So they're quite aware of it. So I would say, you know, that I'm just predicting, if they issue a decision in our favor, we ought to just get our motors, and get our dredges and our high bankers, and just get us all. They're not gonna. What can they do? At the point where the California Supreme Court says they can do that, there's a lot of liability for a law officer with a badge to come and tell you that you can't. He's exceeding his authority, you know. And I don't think they will. Especially if all of us go out there and say, yeah! And when they come over, we say, come on, look at these fools! Anyway, I'll be the first one out there. Derek, a couple years ago, Derek, give me a hand. Give him a hand. He made a discovery just down the river from where we're working. We couldn't dredge anymore, so we came up with underwater gravel transfer suction. And Derek went out there with this little thing, had a motor, that's about all, and uncovered a bonanza of nuggets. I mean, it was one of the best discoveries I've ever seen. And I'll have my dredge in there. The same day that there's the decision, I'm going to be down there. Claiming my 60 feet. Me and Steve. 120 feet. Okay, questions?
Yes, sir. How long do you think it's going to be before they make it do their opinion on this case?
I looked at their calendar, and they had oral arguments through the week. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday they had oral arguments. And then their calendar frees up. And my guess is that while it's all fresh, they go back, you know, they're hearing a bunch of cases. There's a lot of cases. They got a big caseload. And I'm sure they want to move them because there's more coming in all the time. So my best guess from listening to the attorneys is that they will come back together and they'll pick up each case and they'll debate it. They will have already had a pre-decision. They will have already had a pre-vote before oral arguments. And the purpose of oral arguments is just to be sure. Let's listen to it one more time. But they will have already internally, informally, they know what their position is. And so they'll close it up. You know, does anybody got anything new? What about this one? What about this one? You know, they'll make it formal, and they'll turn it over to one of the justices and their aides to go ahead and write up a decision. And then it gets circulated, and you know, if somebody wants to write up a dissent, they got to have a little time. Probably won't be a dissent. We're talking about a unanimous decision, one layer below. You know, so I mean, there's got to be something really wrong for them to overturn that. And by the way they were asking the questions. Doesn't seem likely, you know, but until we make America great again, anything could happen.